Hello again everyone from Tokyo, Japan, and welcome back to Japan Vintage Camera, where I'm coming to you from Aoyama Park next to Tokyo National Art Center. It's an absolutely beautiful day out here. We've been very lucky with the weather this year, especially this part of December when it's normally quite cold and nasty outside. This weekend, yesterday and today is Sunday, it's been absolutely beautiful. I've been able to go out and do some things and enjoy some cycling, take my daughter out to go cycling. It's really wonderful, and just go ahead and try to enjoy the rest of today, because unfortunately during the week they're promising the return of the 0-degree weather. I don't normally look forward to that, but we may go skiing next weekend, so I guess there's something positive about it. Anyway, today I'm going to be talking about a really interesting camera, one which a few of you may have seen before because it's a very popular camera, and that is the Pentax MV1, which is a 35mm SLR camera released back in 1980. For those of you who are new to my channel, I sell vintage Japanese cameras like this Pentax in my online store, japanvintagecamera.com. I have an Etsy store which is also called Japan Vintage Camera, so if you'd like to buy this camera or another vintage Japanese camera, please visit one of my stores. I'll post links to my stores in the description below the video. So 1980 was kind of maybe the one of the greatest years for 35mm SLR photography. This was the time when pretty much all the camera manufacturers had both feet in the market. There were a huge variety of cameras at pretty much every level, from inexpensive to ungodly expensive, and this one features, I guess, is one of the former models, one of the inexpensive ones, designed mainly for people who were just getting into photography or wanted a professional looking camera but didn't want to pay a professional camera price. The MV1 was quite popular around the world. Lots and lots of these were sold, and it was a very well-loved camera. It wasn't as mainstream as the cameras like the Nikon F series or the Canon AE series, but all in all, I kind of have to give the nod to this camera in terms of superiority, mainly because of how simple it is. Normally, a lot of people, especially I don't know a lot of people, but some people prefer the more sophisticated thing, something which has all the bells and whistles and all the options and stuff like that. And it's quite interesting, but it makes the camera a little bit more bulky and more buttons and levers and things like that. And a lot of these things turn out to be like accessories or features which we never actually use, and all they do is kind of add to the complication of operating the camera. A camera like this doesn't feature any of that stuff, and it just allows you to simply go out and take photographs. And the Pentax MV1 is capable of taking really good photographs. And mainly that's because it features the K-mount, which allows you to use any of the K-mount lenses which were on the market. And these were extremely high quality lenses, very compact, very good optics, very high quality glass. And pretty much the heart of the camera is the lens. And when you look at a lot of photography systems, lenses usually cost more than the camera bodies, and sometimes much more. So the camera body wasn't as important as the lens you put on it. And fortunately, there's a large variety of these K-mount lenses on the market, and they're very, very reasonably priced nowadays compared to what they were a few years ago. And these allow you to take really, the same quality image you would get on something like the top of the line Pentax LX. You can catch just as easily on the MV1 for a much more reasonable price. And as much as I love the LX as beautifully designed and made as it is, it's actually a less reliable camera than this inexpensive MV1. So let's go ahead and take a look at the features, controls, and functions and how to use the Pentax MV1. And we'll go ahead and start at the top here as usual. On the left side here we have basically three different things are going on over here. The first thing we have is the film rewind knob with this convenient pop-out lever. And this doubles as the release for the film door. And the third thing we have here is the film speed dial, which you use to adjust the film speed so it matches the film you have loaded in the camera. And you operate it simply by lifting up on the ring and turning it until the number on the dial corresponds with the number of the film, or on the film you have loaded in the camera. Very simple, no frills, no nonsense, no EV control dial, no lock for the film door release. Very simple, no frills, and fewer things to worry about and fewer things to go wrong. On the top here we have the shoe for mounting the flash. This camera features automatic flash operation if you find one of the old Pentax flashes, but you can use any modern flash on this camera. You simply have to set the camera to the flash sync speed are here on the dial. You can also see the red X here. That's to remind you to set the shutter speed. And this gives you a 1/100th of a second shutter speed. And once you set that, you can simply follow the directions on your flash to let you know how to set the camera and how to set the flash. On the side here, we have the ring which you use to select between the 3 settings, and there are only 3 of them here. We have the auto setting, we have the flash sync setting, and we have the bulb setting. And the auto and the bulb are basically the only things you really need. This is an aperture priority camera, so as you turn the aperture ring, the camera will select the best shutter speed for that aperture. And if you look through the viewfinder, on the left side there's an LED system which varies from red on the top to green in the middle to yellow on the bottom. And what you do is you simply adjust the aperture until you get the green section in the middle lit up, and that means the camera is ready to take a properly exposed photograph. It's very simple, very easy to use, and you can get the grasp of it in just a few moments. The learning curve on this camera is very short. Right in the middle here we have the shutter release button, which accepts a standard cable release, a very good feature. And I love the operation of this camera. It's very quiet, very smooth. It's amazing how highly refined cameras were by 1980, but this was due to all the competition in the 70s, and Pentax by this time was making some really wonderful cameras. And a lot of the features and improvements which came on their more expensive cameras ended up finding their way into this one here. On the back of the camera we have a film card holder, and this was actually an option, a desirable option on cameras in those days. These started becoming available in the early 70s, and what it is basically you can put the top of the you tear off the top of the film box and you simply slide it in here, and reminds you what kind of film you have loaded in the camera. Pros usually didn't do that. I used to see, I've got a couple of old Pro cameras, and they put a sticker on the back because they only use one kind of film in a particular camera, and they'll carry 2 or 3 or 4 different camera bodies and just use whichever camera body which has the film they need for whatever job they're working on. But pretty interesting feature. And then some people simply, here in Japan, they put pictures or charms or things like that in the back if they just use their usual film all the time. Here we have the viewfinder window. This camera features a nice large field of view. It's not as large as what you have on like the OM series cameras, but a lot better than what we have on the other cameras at the time. Some of the Canon cameras which were on the market. A nice large viewfinder with a large window. It's dovetailed on either side, so you can purchase accessory things like eye cups or diopter adjustment lenses. And often these are interchangeable between the different makers. I've often used, I guess, a Pentax eyepiece on an OM camera, so I would imagine that you can do the same thing vice versa. If you can't find the Pentax viewfinder accessories, you can find one. You can usually fit them from other makers. They're pretty much a similar, almost universal size. The bottom of the camera here, a little bit more complicated because this camera was designed to accept a power winder or motor drive, and that's what these 3 little contacts here are for. These are the electrical contacts when you attach the power winder. This is the battery chamber here. This camera accepts LR44 batteries, which cost next to nothing and you can find anywhere. This is a standard 1/4-inch tripod socket, which is very conveniently located directly under the center line of the lens. And here we have the cap, which you have to remove when you attach the power winder. Now, back in the day, power winders were kind of a big thing. They made the camera look like a professional camera and sound like a professional camera, but they made the camera really heavy and they caused you to eat through film rather quickly. It sounds really cool to be able to take 3 or 4 shots really quickly, and people go, "Wow, that's you must be a real photographer over there." But and I had one when I had my old Nikon FE a long time ago when I first got into photography. But I find that they weren't such a necessary thing back then, and they're even less necessary today when film is relatively more expensive than it used to be. If you are collecting a complete system, it's kind of nice to have it, and it does make the camera look more cool. But my opinion. It just makes, it kind of defeats the purpose of a camera like the MV1, which is a lightweight compact camera. If you're going to buy a nice lightweight compact camera, there's not much sense in adding lots of a weight of a power winder and the 6 or 8 or how many batteries it requires to power it. But they are available, and the Pentax ones were quite nice. I have a Pentax MX somewhere which has the original motor drive on it, and I like how it looks even if I don't like how it works. On the front of the camera we have pretty much nothing other than this self-timer. This is an incredibly basic camera in the front, and like I sometimes see in headlines on the news, that's a good thing. And it's mainly because, you don't have to worry about the things like the depth of field preview or mirror lockup or the other, blinking lights and audible beeps and stuff like that, which were available in cameras around this vintage. This is just a very basic, easy, no-nonsense camera, and the fewer things you have on the camera, the fewer things there are to go wrong with it. Removing the lens is very simple. Simply turn it like so, and the lens pops off. Inside you can see the mirror, you can see the focusing screen. One thing I should remind people of when they are working on cameras or cleaning up their cameras, be very, very careful when you're cleaning up on the inside. There are two things you have to be careful of. If you have like lens or dust or dirt on the mirror here, these mirrors are coated on the outside, which means they're like silver plated, and the silver is very easy to scratch on them, so you have to be incredibly careful when you're trying to clean them. And also never touch the focusing screen on the top, because it's very, very fragile, and a lot of these cameras I get, people kind of get in with their finger and with a lens cleaning cloth or whatever, start wiping, and not only do they scratch up the mirror, but they also scratch up the focusing screen. And I can sometimes polish scratches off of the mirror, but the focusing screen, there's not much you can do with that when it's damaged. So if you're going to clean the camera, either take it to a shop and have them do it professionally without leaving any marks, or be extremely careful. If I really have to clean a camera, what I will do is I will use a cotton swab, which is very well wetted. I mean, like dripping wet, with a lens cleaner, and I'll hold it so that of course it's not going to drip anywhere else in the camera. And I do that because the liquid kind of picks up the dust rather than just scratching it around. I just make it really wet, and then I clean it off with a microfiber cloth. Microfiber cloth tends to pick up the dust inside the cloth and not scratch the lens when you're cleaning the mirror. And of course I never touch the focusing screen at all if I can help it. The most I'll use is like a blow brush or something like that, a very soft brush to brush the dust off and then blow the dust out. Mounting the lens is quite simple. There's a red mark here. It's on the bayonet, as well as being lined up here with the infinity mark. Simply line up the marks, turn the lens clockwise, and you're good to go. This particular camera is very nice. I got this one, it was a little bit dirty, but I was surprised that it was still in really good working condition, very clean on the inside. And I really love the Pentax 50mm f1.4 lens. This is the lens which is probably my favorite lens of the Pentax system. They make the very fast f1.2 lens in a couple of different varieties, but that lens has issues with like chromatic aberration, which I don't like very much, despite the fact that it's really expensive nowadays. The 50mm f2 lens is really wonderful. That's an extremely well-performing lens, but I love the style and I love the performance of the regular 50mm f1.4. I have one of these put on my Pentax LX, and it's a great all-around lens, which isn't very expensive. Now, I plan to have this camera up and listed for sale in my stores over maybe tomorrow or the day after tomorrow. It's quite busy now because of the holiday season. I've been selling a lot of cameras, and for those of you who bought cameras from me, thank you very much. Yesterday and the day before, I got a few boxes of more things which have come in, lots of new different cameras. So if there's something you're looking for and you haven't seen it in my stores, on your last visit, please check again in a few days. I'll have a lot more stuff available to to take a look at. I plan to be making another video next week, so if you'd like to see that, please subscribe, and if you click the like button, that helps us a lot. Thank you very much for watching, and I hope you tune in again soon.